All right, everybody. This is Phil Cavano from Monster Magnet. You're watching the Heavy Galaxy Show. Rock on.
All right, welcome back for another episode of the Heavy Galaxy Show with Matt and John. As we'd like to welcome our special guest on today's show, and he's not only the head honcho for one of the biggest underground heavy rock and metal labels on the globe with Ripple Music, but he's also recently now an award-winning author, and we'll talk about that too within this show as well. And on top of that, I mean, he's also a very extremely renowned and reputable ophthalmologist here in the San Francisco Bay Area. We got Mr. Todd Severin. I should say Dr. Todd Severin with us.
Yes,
today.
you should.
Yes.
Yes. Only answer to
Doctor.
doctor.
Only doc.
I'm
All
leaving now. Okay. You had a chance. You blew it. I'm out of here.
Well, thanks for coming on with us, Todd, man. Before we we got so much to talk about, but I definitely want to just ask you a little bit, of course, about Ripple in the background, just for people that don't know yet, or, really, I just want to I guess give us a brief rundown, just the impetus that you had to start Ripple. I know we had messaged, a little while ago one time about, I had a label and mine was going defunct while you were starting up Ripple, and probably the worst timing you could start a label. So talk a little bit about your impetus and how it really started, and those sort of first couple of years at the label, how that went.
By the way, I love the background on your screen there.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, that's nice. So Ripple, the record label, started from Ripple Effect, the blog, which I had started with my friend Pope John just to do some record reviews. This was like the early days of blogging. Mm-hmm. And he and I had been talking for a while about starting a zine. It was going to be a good old-fashioned paper zine, okay. Mm-hmm. and reviewing records in our collections, because I'm a huge dollar bin diver. I mean, I'm basically a dumpster diver. I'll literally, if there was like stacks of thrown away records in front of a record store, I will be on my hands and knees flipping through.
Nice.
And I'm going to find that one, Mm-hmm. I'm always going to find it. And I listen to so much music. It might be a 1940s jazz record. It might be a 1960s, 70s funk record, whatever. I'll find something that I want to get. So I have this huge amassment of records and CDs. And we decided we're just going to write about stuff that nobody had ever heard about. Not because it wasn't good, it just never got the press. Mm-hmm. And so we just started, crafting up some of our own reviews. And the whole zine thing wasn't coming to happen. And that's just when blogs were starting. And so I started the Ripple Effect up on Blogger. And the very first thing I reviewed was a band from Scotland called APB. I don't know if you guys ever heard of them. APB. Okay. They're kind of a Scottish punk funk band. From the 80s, and Ian Slater plays the bass like he's got 19 hands. I mean, the guy's freaking phenomenal. And the Ripple Effect started going a little bit, and then we did an early podcast. It wasn't even called a podcast then, but we did an early online radio show called Ripple Radio, which was on Blog Talk Radio, and we just kept getting a little bit more amassment coming. And along the way, I reviewed a record by JPT Scare Band, which I think was called Past His Prologue. So there was an article which had come out in Classic Rock magazine written by a guy named Sleaze Grinder, who's a Boston music scribe. I love Sleaze Grinder. If you guys ever read his stuff, he's just got a way with words. Yeah, mm-hmm. I mean, and he and I have become good friends, and he's a good dude. And I give him a lot of credit for the fact that Ripple even started, because he wrote this article in Classic Rock on the birth of heavy metal. And in that article, he wrote about bands like Sir Lord Baltimore and Bang. And I think he did Lucifer's Friend. Okay. And he did JPT Scare Band. And so I kind of took that article as a blueprint for the music I really wanted to be exploring at the time, just for my own listening. And I bought this JPT Scare Band record, totally loved it, reviewed it. The very next day, the drummer of JPT Scare Band, a guy named Jeff, contacted me, loved the review, and he and I started talking. So he and I started a friendship going for, 4 or 5 months, something like that. And then one day, on my desk, I get this package, and inside is a bunch of JPT Scare Band, which I still have here somewhere. Here you go. These are the original. This is the impetus of Ripple right here.
Oh, wow.
JPT Scare Band unreleased masters.
Wow.
And when was that band originally start?
They started in the 70s. They were from Kansas City,
Mm.
and they were fairly well renowned amongst like their 10 friends. And they would play in this basement, and I think it was really all about just the drugs, you know, the
Okay.
drugs and just jamming. And the music they played for the time, 73-ish, 74-ish, was darker and heavier and really psychedelically tripped out. So they called it the JPT Scare Band, which is the initials of the three guys, JPT and Scare Band, because they played scary music. And they would just jam and do a lot of stuff in their basement in Kansas City. And they recorded a few things, but nothing ever got released during the band's time. In the early 90s, a label called Monster Records, which I think later transformed into Rockadrome, or at least had some relationship with Rockadrome, I believe.
Okay.
Released some of their earliest recordings on vinyl. And that kind of set the stage for this band to get all this cult status. And then as Sleaze Grinder was digging into it, he really recognized Terry Swoop's guitar playing and Paul Bomar's bass, which was just huge. And he really cemented them as being one of the forefathers of what became heavy metal. Again, up in the echelon of Sir Lord Baltimore and Bang and bands that we're much more familiar with. So Jeff sent me that stack of unreleased masters that I just showed you.
Okay.
And I listened to it all, and it was, you know, phenomenal. And I wrote him, I said, you know, dude, this stuff's great, but what do you want me to do with it? You know, it's not released. I can't review it. That's Bosco, by the way. I can't review it. What do you want me to do with it? He goes, well, I don't want you to review it. I want you to put it out. I'm like,
Wow.
yeah, I just don't know what you're talking about. What do you mean? He goes, I want you to put it out. I want you. I like you. I trust you. You love music for the right reasons. I want you to put out our records. And I go, what the fuck is he talking about? Man, I'm not a record. I'm a freaking ophthalmologist in Danville, right? I'm as far away from a record guy as you could possibly get. But at the same time, it really, you know, piqued my interest. You know, I had a history in radio. I was a radio disc jockey for 6 years.
Okay.
So I kind of knew a little bit about the back end of music, and I'm very aware that despite the fact that there's a bass guitar sitting right there, I do not know how to play it. I'm very aware of the fact that if I have any skills at all, it's behind the cameras, not in front of the cameras. So I thought about it for a while, and I started reading on what it meant to be a record label. I studied the sub pop genre. I mean, their model that they did, and some of the earlier independence is what was happening. I probably spent about 8 or 9 months studying everything I could about what it meant to be a record label. And you nailed it exactly. This was 2009. The worst possible microsecond in time to consider starting a record label, because the vinyl resurgence hadn't happened yet. The CD market had died. It had bottomed out already.
Absolutely.
There was no monetization for digital. Everything was being stolen and streamed on Napster and other, you know, BitTorrent services. So there was no monetization. This is before iTunes. No monetization for digital. So there was not a revenue model at that exact moment in time. So I thought, well, this sounds like a great time to start a record label. So I did. And we released JPT Scare Band's Acid Blues is the White Man's Burden as a, check this out, our very first release, again, before the vinyl resurgence had happened. Our very first release, a double LP gatefold 2-tone psychedelic vinyl.
No half step in there.
No half step in there. And we didn't know what we didn't know what plating was. We didn't know what mastering was. And we had to figure all this stuff out on the fly, me and Pope. And forget distribution, we had to figure out even how to ship things, right? And that's Ripple Music LP 001. And it's sold out completely. And
Wow.
that led to our next reissue, which was Puba's Let Me In record, which is the best-selling record in Ripple music history.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
I think I've pressed between records and CDs, we sold at least 5, 6, 7,000 copies of that
Wow.
record.
Wow.
We then have later on done another JPT recording where we took their 2 records that had been released and combined that into one double record set, kind of like a primer on the band, but full albums, not a compendium.
Okay.
And just this week, I was talking to the guys in JPT again, and we have a live record we're going to do, and we have a new record we're going to do. So
Wow.
JPT is still an integral part of Ripple, and that's
awesome.
the way Ripple started.
That's pretty awesome. Wow. Now, after that, did you have like a vision? So after having that experience, was it like, I mean, when you decided to start like putting records out, was it all about like your gut instinct in terms of just stuff that you liked and you're like, I like this, so I'm going to put it out? Or did you start to realize, because of, like you're saying, it wasn't a monetization model, so forth, did you start to be like, well, let me look at other, factors, in terms of what bands I should sign and release?
No, I never, and John knows this about me. I never put forethought into genre or band that I should be signing because of the financial return. That would be way too smart. That would show way too much forethought. Pope and I at the beginning, Pope was intimately involved in everything that we were doing. He hasn't been very much involved for the last 10 years.
Okay.
And by the way, that JPT Scare Band record came out in June of 2010. So we just passed our 15-year anniversary.
Yeah. Okay.
And we will be having in San Francisco a 2-day 15th anniversary party.
Oh, sweet.
One Friday night's going to be at Bottom of the Hill. Saturday night, we think it's going to be at the Parkside.
Perfect.
I'm going out of order here, but the lineup should be.
So when is this?
It's going to be in November.
Oh, sweet.
Dates to be locked in. I think the second weekend, not the 8th, so probably like the 15th of November, I believe.
Fantastic. Okay.
And we're looking at the first night being, you're going to love this, John. Fireball Ministry. Zed is coming back with their new drummer since Sean passed away.
Mm-hmm.
And Snake Mother is going to open up that show.
Nice.
And then Saturday is going to be Baracho, Black Wolf, Godzillionaire.
Oh, nice.
And I believe, although I haven't confirmed anything to Tim yet, I think we're going to get the Watchers on, so we can do 4 bands the second night.
Sweet. Great.
So that's going to be our anniversary show. You'll hear more about it now, but that's an exclusive. You're the first ones to hear about this.
All right. I'll be there for sure.
Yeah. You better be. You just got to walk down the street.
Exactly.
Nailed. You got to let me know, and then
yeah.
Take a trip in.
Right, you gotta hook me up with somewhere to stay, man.
You stay with me,
Hey, there you go.
There we go.
Marcus Sebes is the guy who's helped me out with all this. Bass player Zed, and he's an integral part of everything we've done. So, anyways, I'm backing back up. The original vision was to release guitar rock. That's the only way to say it. It could be a little proggy, it could be a little bit rocky. It was just kind of like based upon stuff that had been coming in for us to review. Because by that time, the ripple effect was pretty big. It was getting about 1 million hits a year. And so we were getting lots of submissions. And Pope and I have very different tastes in music. The best way to describe it is I'm Black Sabbath and he's Iron Maiden.
Okay.
And if we're talking Iron Maiden, I'm Paul Di'Anno and he's Bruce Dickinson. So we just come to music from different areas. So we thought that the union of our sets would be the music would focus on. So if you look at the label, the early releases were a tiny bit scattered. I was really into proto metal. I love the retro 70s sound. That's like my wheelhouse. I mean, I'm older than you guys. I grew up with that stuff. I mean, I was buying Kiss records brand new off the shelf when they were coming out. So I really grew up with 70s rock, and that proto metal vibe is really my big sweet spot. Yeah. So I really wanted to work a lot in the proto metal vibe, and over the years, I fortunately have. We've done, Puba, we've done JPT. I've worked with Bang. I've worked with Leaf Hound. I've worked with Buffalo. I mean, some of the great bands of proto metal I've had the beautiful opportunity to work with. But I wasn't going to be a reissue label. Number one, there are those, you know, and including Rockadrome, who was doing a fantastic job of releasing a lot of the proto metal stuff back then. So our early releases are a little scattered, a little bit of, you know, reissuing stuff, a little bit of bands that don't really have a clear connection other than somebody played a guitar. And all of that pretty much changed when I met Tony Reed. And the way I met Tony Reed was pretty interesting because I had reviewed Moss Generator, the Future Gods record. And I had reviewed that for the Ripple Effect. And I think I'd reviewed the first Stone Axe record for the Ripple Effect at that time. And so I was aware of who he was, but of course I never met the guy. And out of nowhere, this is the funniest story. It's so bizarre. And we're talking now 2011, maybe early 2012. I don't know. So think about cell phones back in 2011, 2012. Okay. I'm at Mother's Day brunch and we're in the town of Davis. It was halfway between my sister who lived in Sacramento. And we're at the brunch table and I get this phone call. And I look at my phone and it says incoming call, Tony Reed. Well, number one, I don't know Tony Reed. I don't have his contact information. And normally a phone number would come across as the phone number. And it only comes across as the person if you already have it imported as a contact. Well, Tony Reed's Tony Reed. The phone company just says, no, Tony Reed is calling you. And so I do what anybody would do, and that is see a mom. I know it's Mother Days. You just eat. I got to take this call.
Right.
And I'm talking to Tony, and great guy, obviously. And at the time, we had a band we were working with called Mighty High. I don't know if you guys ever heard their record.
I haven't. No.
Woody was a writer for the Ripple Effect, which is why I put that record out. And it's kind of this punky, garagey, Ramonesy, stonery, whatever. And he had this really phenomenal cover artist who did his stuff. I think his name was Brano. So look up the Mighty High record and you'll see this art. It's very like R.C. Crumb. It's out there.
Okay.
And Tony loved the art. And so he had contacted Woody because let's do a split single together. And Woody said, sure, talk to Todd. So here I am getting this call from Tony and we're talking on the phone and he goes, yeah, I'd love to do a split single with you. Are you kidding? To me, Tony Reed, right? He's God. And so we did. We put out the very first split single we ever did it was Stone Axe, Not Moss Generator, and Mighty High. And it's a cool single. I think it's probably sold out. There might be a few lying around someplace if you guys want one. But that led the conversation. So at that same conversation, while my mom's eating her Mother's Day brunch, as Tony and I are talking, he also kind of drops the ball. He goes, by the way, Stone Axe 1's out of print. Would you like to redo that one too? I said, yeah. And he goes, okay. And we're thinking of doing another Stone Axe record. Would you be interested? Yeah. And he goes, well, and it's been a while, but Moss Generator hasn't done anything in 5 years. At that time, they hadn't reformed yet. Moss was done. And he goes, our first record's coming up on its 5-year anniversary. Would you be interested in doing a special deluxe record CD digital combination of that? I'm like, yeah. So I'm come on, what, right? And so in some ways, we were partly responsible for Moss Generator reforming, by doing that. And then we put out the Nomads record as the band was going again. And we were, of course, working with Stone Axe at the time. So Tony Reed became like the unofficial third member of Ripple. He's done an inordinate amount of mastering of the records. He's recorded some of the band. He's Tony Reed, right? I mean,
sure.
And he's a great guy. And we've had great stories to tell you about going up to his man cave up in Washington area and just having a great time there. So when Tony came on, and now I'm working with Stone Axe, which if you think about it, is totally in my wheelhouse, right? They were free. They were early Bad Company. I mean, they were the faces. It's just they were real, and that kind of led me deeper down into what was developing at that time as the underground stoner doom scene. And as I started exploring there, I realized this is my music.
Okay.
You know, this is where I belong. And that's what set the framework for the label. So I give Tony Reed a lot of credit for giving us the focus that later became Ripple.
Very cool.
You know, you mentioned Black Sabbath, and you know, this past weekend was this probably one of the biggest events in heavy metal history. In some love it, some don't. You probably didn't even bother with it, Todd. But it was really an homage to Ozzy. It wasn't just Black Sabbath. Some people were mistaken on that. It was really an homage to Ozzy because, you know,
the lineup was insane.
Well, the line was interesting. So yeah, and you know, Ozzy likely is not long for this world, we'll say. So it was really a masterful idea of Sharon, as much as she gets a lot of negativity and some of it for good measure, reason why, but to really honor and bring light to like this great singer, right? In the biggest group, the most important group in the history of music, in my opinion, is Black Sabbath. Like there is, Beatles did not have the spawn of how much this meant to like our genre, and it was fascinating. What was your initial kind of bumping into Black Sabbath?
My initial bumping into Black Sabbath is actually very memorable. I was probably 12 or 13. Kiss Destroyer came out in 76, is it? Or 77? I think it's 76. I think 76. Rock Roll Over was 77. So I was born in 63. So I was 13 when that record came out. So that was kind of like when I started really breaking away from AM radio. Okay, this is, you know, along 76, right? I mean, FM radio was still kind of a newer thing back then. I was listening to some FM stations. There was K-Zap. I don't know if you're too young. Shut up. They were based out of San Francisco, and there was K-Sand in San Francisco. I mean, K-Zap was in Sacramento, and they played a lot of, you know, your classic FM sort of stuff. But before that, it was all KFRC, which was 610 AM. There was a DJ there called Dr. Don Rose, who every single person in the history of San Francisco listened to Dr. Don Rose. Thin Lizzy even wrote about Dr. Don Rose when they talked about by the Bay, they got some crazy DJ. Do you remember that?
Yeah. That's about him. Okay.
Yeah, it's about him. He was crazy. He was totally insane. So Destroyer was that first record that took me away from AM radio, which at the time, you know, when I'd been Elton John or whatever. But KFRC actually was a little bit mixed. And I would hear some some Aerosmith, like Walk This Way was a big song, and other stuff would be played on AM radio at the time. But with Kiss, I really started exploring what was out there. And that's when I started going to secondhand record stores. And there was one in town called Rainbow Records. And I'd go there a lot. And that's where I got like Kiss originals and a lot of the Zeppelin stuff, etc. But I think my first Sabbath came right in that time period from a thrift store. And I was in a thrift store digging through the records, and I came across We Sold Our Souls for Rock and Roll, which was their double record. You know, it wasn't called a greatest hits, but it was a hell of a greatest hits record. Pretty much summed up a lot of the first, I think it went up to the first 6 albums. So I think there's one song off of Sabotage on that record. I had no idea who it was. My best friend had a brother who was 3 years older. So you have to understand, as young kids, we worship this guy.
Oh yes,
okay. He had a fro out to here. You know, he was like the star player on the football team. He was a star soccer player, and he listened to everything that was 70s metal. And so as a young kid, I was like doodling all these bands' logos before I even knew what the band was.
Yeah.
You know, because he was into them. And so we would do that. And when he would leave, we'd break into his room and like play Moby Dick. I remember playing Moby Dick specifically off of Zeppelin, you know, and just play his records. But I never heard Sabbath, but I knew he liked them. So I found We Sold Our Souls for Rock and Roll, and I, you know, bought it. I think I paid either $2 or $5 for it, which is a fair amount of money back then. and I had no idea what to expect. And if you know the record, if you open it up, you know what that gatefold looks like. Do you know, John?
No.
It's a very ghostly looking woman inside of a coffin holding a cross. And it's terrifying for a 13-year-old boy. It's terrifying. And I'm looking at this, and I put the record on, and the first song that plays is Black Sabbath from Black Sabbath.
Oh, man.
And it starts with the church bells and the storm, right? And I'm all,
yeah.
not in a good way. Okay, I don't like horror movies. I'm terrified of horror movies. I mean, I can handle like the classic monster crap, but still, I'm all, what the hell is this? And that song, you know, Ozzy's voice is not at all like, you know, Gene Simmons or Elton John's, and the music is not at all like Elton John. It's not even at all like Kiss. And in that song, if you remember, like midway through, he just breaks down and does that like that scream, that oh god, and I was just like, what the fuck is this, right? And then that first side, it probably goes into Paranoid. I think it goes into War Pigs, and by the end of that, I'm just all, oh my god, you know, and Sweetleaf and Fairies Wear Boots, which I think Fairies Wear Boots might have been like my favorite song at the time.
Such the swing on that song.
God, it's just insane. And then NIB, and I was hooked.
Right.
And I would play that record. I mean, that knocked Kiss off.
Right. That just put Kiss in this different section of real cool. But this was like, I really think that if people don't understand or really dig in, Black Sabbath is that band. There is no bigger, better, more magical band,
more influential band,
and just the music is just better than anything. I mean, for the most part.
And their origin story makes it even more fun, right? I mean, with him losing the tips of his fingers, and that's why it's everything about them. I said their origin story makes them even more fun.
Believe it or not, they did not play Black Sabbath that day.
Yeah, I saw the set list.
I can see that though.
At one time, Black Sabbath was supposed to play it, and it ended up Ozzy played more songs of his solo than a Black Sabbath, or something of that nature. And that was very unfortunate to me because literally the song Black Sabbath is the atom, if you will, of doom metal. I mean,
that was for me.
That is the direct first thing, you know? And it's just things have gone from there. And obviously they have other songs that are of doom, you know, influence, but that song is just like this pinnacle. And
you have to imagine my experience as a 13-year-old boy.
Yeah.
And I'm growing up in Danville, California, which at the time was this way out in the middle of nowhere fucking ranch town. This is long before Danville became Shishi. Okay, Danville was a working ranch and orchard town. And so I'm out in the middle of nowhere, and none of my friends listen to this stuff. Nobody. From the second I listened to Black Sabbath, my musical companionship ended with anybody.
You remember your friend that had the brother?
You know, he hated that stuff.
No.
Wow.
He was like all, you know, Daz Band and Kool and the Gang and Earth, Wind and Fire.
Okay.
He did not listen to any of the heavy stuff.
Oh wow.
I found a friend in high school who I listened to new wave of British heavy metal with, but that's like the next leg. But you know, my musical companionship ended because nobody was going to go down that Black Sabbath road with me in this small town out in the middle of nowhere in California fields. But just that you have to take a look at that inside gatefold, because that's 90% of this whole experience for me is looking at this, which was terrifying, and that song coming on. Yeah, that is doom metal personified. Nobody has done it better since.
It's, I mean, what? Yeah, I mean, you know, Tony. I mean, maybe he sold the soul of the devil to in this thing along with Jimmy Page, because it's just when you go back and you can hear other stuff that was, you know, dark and heavy and all that stuff, but none of it from a composition standpoint.
Well, and look at it was 1970.
I mean, you know, people want to say there's Blue Cheer and there's this and there's that, but
Blue Cheer was noisy. It's different.
None of it was, you know, like literally Geezer wrote these a magically awesome lyrics.
Oh yeah.
Geezer was the primary writer. Ozzy
Yep.
did some too. Omi obviously was a lot of the composition for a long time with it. And it's just, they were so jazz influenced, but making it heavy and not noisy. You know, it wasn't like, you know, some of the noise jazz, you know, that Miles Davis or whoever, people like that talk about. It brought this power.
Well, and plus they were a blues band. So they took the blues, which kept everything rooted in that blues structure.
Exactly. The Brits made blues cool.
Yes.
Blues was very, I kind of liken blues to like Ford cars. Like, it was cool and it got us going, and its roots, you know, Ford started this whole mass manufacturing and we had it. And blues, it comes from the heart, you know, and it has a certain way that it's composing the song, but very, very basic. But the Brits, historically, what the British did, because Americans, they, you know, we were part of it, but go down the line.
They did, yeah.
Led Zeppelin, Rolling Stones, Black Sabbath, even the early Who, Jeff Beck, you know,
John Mayall, and you know, Fleetwood Mac, yeah.
10 years after,
10 years after,
it's just all this British stuff. They are the birth stone of like the electrification
absolutely,
of what rock and roll became. I mean, it wasn't Elvis Presley and Chuck Berry, you know what I mean?
Right.
And stuff like that.
Well,
that was a whole different sector.
I will say, however, Eddie Cochran was massively influential over in the UK.
Yeah.
More Elvis. I don't think Elvis was huge. Eddie Cochran was huge. And at the time, remember, all these guys came from skiffle bands, right? And so Eddie kind of, skiffle was a style of music. It was kind of a folky, boppy. Check it out. Almost everybody played in a skiffle band. They'll all talk about how they played in skiffle bands. But then the blues replaced skiffle, and everybody wanted an electric guitar, and they wanted to play the blues. And it all started with guys like B.B. King when they first started coming over there, and they were just idolized and worshipped. And then you had guys like Clapton and Beck and Page picking up their guitars, and all those bands like Fleetwood Macs, all those bands that started as British blues bands. Even Jethro Tull was a British blues band at first.
Exactly. Yep.
That fucking flute. I don't know.
No, the flute wasn't in the first album.
I'm joking, kind of. So
I like the flute, so don't take it.
I like the flute. Yeah,
I do too. Yeah.
Good for you. Yeah, flutes. That makes sense. No, I watched. I know this guy gets disparaged by a certain percentage of our rock population. They're triggered and everything else, but I watched the Eric Clapton documentary, and it was so amazing. And it went through the history of how when Britain really blossomed, and Eric Clapton almost solely brought the attention to those Bo Diddleys and B.B. Kings. They literally, like, people are like, oh, he just ripped off all the African-American bluesmen, blah, blah, blah. But literally they did interviews with those guys, and they're like, if it wasn't for Clapton, no one would know who we were. He brought us on tour. He did this, he did that. It's, you know, Clapton was obviously this big part for somehow or another. He really had a magnetism in that era. And for God's sake, if you haven't seen the Led Zeppelin documentary, Jimmy Page is God also. I mean, that guy, we can think about all the members of Led Zeppelin, and they're all just like the Black Sabbath guys, each one so good at their instrument. But nothing happens without Jimmy Page. He was ahead of them in everything. He'd already been doing music as a teenager. They were hiring him already. And it's just,
he was playing behind Sonny Boy Williamson.
I don't even remember.
He did studio work for Sonny Boy Williamson.
Yeah, I remember the name. But the history of what they showed, those guys, Clapton and him, you know, everything just kind of falls into place later. And Tony, you know, obviously the craziest thing about Tony Iommi with Black Sabbath is right as he's about to quit his job to be a band member, he cuts off part of his finger. I mean,
3 fingers.
If they don't make a similar documentary of Black Sabbath to Led Zeppelin, like the same thing where they cover eras, because I really pray that Zeppelin will do the next era, because they only did literally the first 2 or 3 albums on that documentary. They showed the early how Zeppelin happened, and the first hour or whatever seemingly was really a history about each one of them and where they started from. Black Sabbath has the stories, and with Ozzy really being on borrowed time at this point in time, I mean, and Bill Ward has never been a bastion of health. Let's be honest. And Tony is Tony. Tony lived hard. I mean, Tony loved the smell of cocaine for endless amounts of years, and the guy, he looks great on stage. Like I said, he probably sold his soul to the devil or some weird thing. The guy's just amazing. And Geezer, who lives here in Vegas, God, Matt, it'd be unbelievable to get him on the show. He lyrically and on that bass are just, they have to expose, because the more we get that out there is the more it helps, I think, us to some degree. Because if kids and younger people start seeing what real rock and roll is, not this manufactured garbage by the big 3 labels, it really will show the soul in the musicianship. We're missing musicianship on the big screen.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of youngsters, though, they, you start out with whatever is, cool or happy or whatever in your age group, but everybody eventually goes back and, understands that it all goes back to Sabbath and it starts there. Most people, at least, I can speak for a lot of myself. A lot of people were, of course I knew Black Sabbath growing up, but it was, I'm just turning 50 this year, so it wasn't in my time frame there. But of course, after listening to all the music I did, all the heavier stuff, metal, everyone always gives Sabbath their due. And so on top of that, in the 90s, you had all those, tribute albums to Black Sabbath. That was huge, for getting kids in the 90s to,
that was really
into more.
Was it the 90s? Yeah, maybe the late 90s, 2000s.
Yeah, it was the 90s,
NIB stuff, 90s. I think was.
Yeah. So, I mean, look at our scene. I mean, mostly everything is influenced by, Sabbath. I think it's just a natural sort of.
It is, but a lot of people, Matt, are shallow in their listening, and this comes from somebody that pushes. I'm a pusher, Steppenwolf said, I'm the pusher of music, and I try to pry open people's minds of music, and so many just don't know. They only like what they like. There is no intuitiveness to want or creative mindset to look into things. The 3 of us, we love what's behind music, but it's brutal, quite frankly. I mean, honestly, Black Sabbath, a next to no female audience. Now, Ozzy solo, that was customized a little more, right?
It was 80s, so yeah.
For MTV.
Exactly, yes.
And the rest is history. I mean, Mom, I'm Coming Home is probably the most talked about song performance by Ozzy that evening. If you haven't seen it, Todd, he had to sit on he's sitting on a big throne to sing, but he can't stand up anymore, Todd. Ozzy is that bad off. His ALS or Parkinson or both are so bad that he pushed through that music. But now I'm coming home, you can kind of see where it looks like he's almost cried and there's tears. I mean, it could be sweat. And he was breaking up a little bit when he's singing. So that's like this thing. And Mom, I'm Coming Home, sure the fuck wasn't made for us testosterone driven men, during that era. That was a song that was written to say, let's put this on there by the label and let's sell 1 million and bring even more people into the fold. And I get it. That's an 80s model and early 90s even model. But that song is the most talked about, along with the song Changes, which I despise, quite frankly. The song Changes.
Not my favorite.
I can't stand it. But it got done by Young Bud or Young Blood.
Young Blood, I think it was, right? Yeah.
And I believe he's British. I'm not sure if he's Scottish or Irish. So I'm going to go with British is the safe bet. Todd, you may or may not have heard of this guy. I honestly had never heard of him until 2 weeks ago. But he sang Changes, and he did it with such authority, particularly the last minute and a half. and he got the crowd going like Freddie Mercury did at Live Aid. And he's dressed different. I mean, he was dressed like nicely, but he has like these weird pants with suspenders. So they're like way over his navel, like all the way up over his navel. It's really weird.
Very British.
But girl, but again, I saw some girls here in Vegas. They posted about him, and they're all just all about it. So, you know, men and women are so different, so dope. Psychologically different when it comes to music. But man, that young blood guy, he that last minute and a half of that song is like, whoa, like he is getting a crowd singing, and his voice was power, was driving it. Unlike Axl Rose, who was like Mickey Mouse singing up there. It was horrible.
I would have expected nothing less.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just making so much money that there's just no reason for him to stop, because nostalgia sells at such a high rate for your generation, Todd, my generation, even Generation X, and probably even the one after us, and particularly with, obviously, with ladies and gentlemen. But more so, you know, women drive a lot of that as well. And so these bands, they kill it. I mean, they just kill it and kill it and kill it. But a lot of them aren't delivering the true product very well anymore. Like Dokken. I saw Stephen Pearcy not too long ago. He has no push behind his voice at
Well, they're in the 70s, these guys. It's, you know, there comes a point in time where they're just going to lose their skills, you know?
Yeah, but Vince Neil has been able, or Pearcy hasn't been able to sing for 10, 15 years. You know what I mean? Axl sang pretty good when I saw him in 20, like 10
and
or
remember, too, you just sing that high, you know, back those days, everybody sung high. Everything was about the high vocals, you know? And so you can't sing that high at that age. You need your 50s, it starts to dwindle. So,
but
you know, it's all nostalgia, you know? So, yeah.
But they can bring it down, Matt. They can bring, I mean, I'm all right when they take it down a register, but when they still do it and it just sounds, there's not power behind it. And you got to have, when I heard that young blood thing, I was like, you can.
Well, he's young. He's young.
And the
he's
best,
young blood.
but the best set I've seen, and I haven't seen them all, Todd, was by Tool, which I know you don't like. They did Hand of Doom with 2 Tool songs on each side of them, and they made it all very smooth. Like Hand of Doom, Maynard was so creative and smart. He started doing it at the beginning of the next song while Hand of Doom was finishing up, and then click, they just kicked it in and went in, you know, to the final Tool song. It was, and Maynard could drive it. I mean, Maynard can't hit the high notes like he used to, but he drove that stuff. I mean, there are people, many people think that's one of the best as well. And so that's great. I think Tool's, you know, the best band of this era, you know, for me at least, but it was, I wish I'd been there. Some people.
So let's back up a second here. I don't not like Tool. In fact, Opiate to me is a phenomenal record. I love Opiate. I think it's amazing. I don't like much after that because they just are boring to me.
Undertow is unbelievable.
I am in no way diminishing their talent and their musicianship. They just bore me.
They have rock and roll songs, man, but you have to know what to hear.
I just keep talking.
Prison Sex is a standard. Prison Sex is a rock and roll song.
Again, I'm not bad-mouthing Tool. I don't have a problem with Tool. I have most of their records. I don't have all of them because they got a little indulgent.
Put Undertow on. It's not progressive.
Undertow is the crossing point from Opiate to where they went. So Undertow to me is a little bit tolerable. I think Opiate's genius. I love Opiate. I'm sorry.
I heard Undertow first, so I thought Opiate was Small Potatoes. But
it is Small Potatoes, but it's a rock and roll record.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, one of the songs I really can't even stand, but I love that one live song he does where he's like, shoot him in the fucking head. That, like, it sent chills.
Dude, get that Bob Marley wannabe motherfucker out
of here. Yeah.
I was like, oh, God. Yeah. And like, Maynard is one of these few iconic rock stars we have. You know, he's enigmatic. You know?
He's enigmatic. I'll give you that.
Yeah. He's not all there.
When it comes to Ozzy, one thing I do have to say is that I saw Ozzy on the Blizzard of Oz tour.
Oh, you saw Randy Rhodes.
I saw Randy Rhodes.
Wow.
You'll love this, Matt. It was at a Day on the Green in Oakland.
Oh,
I don't remember the whole lineup. I remember Loverboy played before them, but that's when Loverboy was still a little bit cool. It's like their first record.
You just saw them. John did, right? Yeah, he said.
Just saw him, Todd.
Yeah.
Just saw Loverboy.
You just saw Loverboy? Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I'm not going to go there.
Turn Me Loose, baby.
Hey, their first two records I liked. Their first two records, Turn Me Loose is a great song.
I mean, probably 40% of the crowd was chicks, and they were just like when I saw Night Ranger.
Did they have the red leather pants still going?
No, the guy's fat. Come on. Mike Reno is out of shape, old. They were really old, dude.
Well, Reno before Loverboy, remember Reno was the lead singer of Moxie.
Oh yeah,
for their last, I think for their last record, or maybe I don't think maybe he recorded the last record, maybe he didn't record with them. But when their singer, I think their singer died in a motorcycle accident, as I recall, and Reno came in, so he was a well-established guy. Reno could sing. Turn Me Loose is a phenomenal. That bass in Turn Me Loose is a great bass. Totally. It's a great song.
And listen, Night Ranger, I haven't listened to a single note by them since the 90s. And they put on one hell of a show. And you've been in the VIP area, Todd, of Vamped. Brad Gillis was the guitarist closest to VIP, just like Warren DeMartini of Rat was. And I got to watch those guys, and they'd get up on the little elevated area. And God, and Brad Gillis was back talking to us later on.
And he played with Ozzy.
Yep.
Yes.
Right.
He knows how to play guitar.
I told him, and this is embarrassing, and even he looked at me like, what the? I go, I fell in love with Black Sabbath because of the album you did with Ozzy. And he goes, like that. I'm like,
what was that?
Was
that their third record?
That was the one where Speak of the Devil.
Speak of the Devil, yeah, with the live one.
Yeah, third record.
Yeah,
right,
and like I liked Ozzy.
It's Blizzard of Oz and Diary of a Madman, then Speak of the Devil.
Yes.
And Randy died after Diary of a Madman.
Exactly.
So Brad played, and then it switched over from there to Jake E, right?
For 2 albums, which Jake E. Lee got up, Todd, and played.
I saw that
in a super group. And Jake E. Lee's not in good health either. He got shot, first off.
Yeah, that's right.
He's got an injury to one of his hands, and he's a little out of practice, I'd say, and certainly not used to playing in front of a million people. But Jake E. Lee did an honorable job. But I got into Black Sabbath after I was into Ozzy and after I was in Dio. And I literally got into Dio Sabbath before Black Sabbath because my buddy gave me Holy Diver, and then I bought Last in Line. And then he brought it up to me, he goes, he was with this band called Black Sabbath. I'm like, as soon as I heard Black Sabbath, I was scared. I was just like, oh, no, I don't want to go there. Like, it was, teenager, didn't know, parents are feeding you fucking bullshit in your head. And when I listened to that, Speak of the Devil, I fell in love with Black Sabbath. I couldn't believe what I was missing. Like, Wizard was like, what? Like, it was just insane.
Nice.
And so, Brad Gillis just ripping it right there, just amazing stuff. And, I don't love those bands. I won't ever listen to their stuff. I mean, Loverboy, I won't turn off most of it, except for the slow songs. But, I'm not craving to listen to that stuff. But to see it at about a 350 cap venue and good sound was really cool experience, quite frankly. It was kind of neat to have. Did you ever get to see Sabbath?
Yeah, I saw Sabbath a few times. I saw them twice just on the End tour.
Cool, great.
Okay, nice, yeah.
Real good. Yeah, we're on the floor both times. Really good seats. And that's actually when I realized just the complete genius of NIB and Geezer's bass playing on that song. Yeah. It's just fucking phenomenal.
Totally.
Amazing.
Like just
so, I have an interesting musical history, Matt, that you don't know, but as much as we'll talk about a lot of this stuff, I graduated from high school in 1981. Mm-hmm. So from 79, 80, and 81, I was absorbing every moment of the new wave of British heavy metal.
Okay.
I bought that Iron Maiden record the day it came out in America. Mm-hmm. It was an import even. all this stuff I was on, brand new singles. I was all over that. Whereas all my friends were listening to REO Speedwagon, which isn't bad. I mean, REO they had some good records back then. But like I said, I had no musical companionship at that time. 1981, I moved down to LA to go to school. Now, that does coincide with the LA Sunset scene, but not for me. Because in 1981, I started working at the radio station, which was a punk new wave radio station. So everything for me shifted. I was more Circle Jerks than Rat. You know, I was more Black Flag than I was Motley Crue. So I never even heard any of these bands. I never even heard Diary of a Madman. Think about the time period. I certainly never heard Speak the Devil. And from that time on, I was just immersed. My favorite band at that time was the Death Cult, Southern Death Cult, Cult. I loved the Cult. And so that's the route that I was going back then. And then after that, I graduated college in 85 and I went to medical school. So medical school is about as void a period in your life of music as you're ever going to have, right? Because it was at times I was spending 120 hours a week in the hospital. The music I was listening to then was almost exclusively reggae. It had a lot had to do with my girlfriend at the time. African and reggae music was for about 4 years was pretty much my life then. And so then I get out and I start I did my internship, which was a total lost year of music. And then I started doing my residency where you kind of get a little peak of life again. And it was during that time period where I met Pope, my eventual Ripple partner. And he and I started cross-pollinating in music. And so I was turning him on to bands like Cat Stevens and Al Stewart and just stuff that he had never heard because he was a skater thrash punk kid. And he was turning me on to bands like that first Tool record, Opiate, and Helmet. And that's where Prong, that sort of stuff that he was listening to.
So this is early 90s.
Early 90s, right?
Very early 90s, right?
Yep.
And then in 93, I went to Houston, Texas to do my fellowship, my postdoctorate fellowship. And I didn't know anybody in Houston. I'm there for a year. I wasn't going to meet anybody in Houston, but I collected a lot of comic books back then. So I'd go to the comic book store. And the guy behind the comic book store was Jeremy from the band Mr. Plow.
Oh, wow.
When he is a 18-year-old kid.
How about that? Wow.
And all he was playing behind the counter was music I'd never heard of before, but these bands like Fu Manchu and Nebula. And I'm sure Caius was playing, although I don't remember hearing it. But I had never heard of these bands before. All I knew is that was my vibe again. Right? And so then once Ripple started and we kind of went through that whole Tony Reed story I told you about, that's when I kind of brought that stuff back into my life. But you have to understand, I never heard the first Metallica song I ever heard was Enter Sandman.
Oh, wow. Interesting. Okay.
Right? Because that the whole thrash metal, I didn't know the difference between thrash metal and speed metal. I kept asking Pope, what's the difference? Right. Yeah, there's the same thing. I mean, every band you can think of from that time period, from really the beginning of hair metal until the end of the first big waves of thrash, all the way through Exodus and Testament, all those bands, I never heard. And I still haven't heard a lot of them. To this day, I have never heard an entire Slayer record.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe me neither. But
and maybe I've only heard one Slayer song. Slayer, Rain and Blood.
Sure.
Cool. I've never heard it.
No.
Yeah.
I've never heard Injustice for All. To this day.
Probably worth a listen, but compared to the previous.
Well, and I think that's part of the problem I have with Metallica is full respect, Metallica. I don't have a problem with them. It's just what was so mind-blowing and revolutionary when that came out in 1987. Guess the date it is, 86.
No, Metallica, 83.
Yeah. It was that early? Okay.
Yeah.
It was a lunch table special for me.
Yeah.
Okay. So when that was coming out and it was so revolutionary, of course, they started with Lars following on the backs of the new wave of British heavy metal, which was getting thrashier. with
Yep.
Diamond Head and Angel Witch and some of those bands. I mean, Lars
Yep.
was clearly, I mean, he did the New Wave of British Heavy Metal 2C compilation, which is a really good CD. So maybe Kill 'Em All isn't the best example of this, but when they moved from that onto And Justice for All and the other albums that came, which I don't even know all their names,
Yeah, but,
what sounded so amazingly revolutionary at the time,
mm.
today
It doesn't.
is common
Yeah.
hand.
Sure. Yeah. Mhm.
I mean, they screwed up
Yeah.
Injustice for All, but Master of Puppets was their
Well, that was their
that was the
quintessential
thing where
classic.
oh, everything just comes together. It was
Mhm.
cleaner
Yeah.
and just heavy as fuck.
Right. But
Yeah,
now, but by
MTV.
today's standard, and I'm not diminishing, I know it's a phenomenal record, but by today's standard, I probably will have heard 50 bands play as fast, as heavy. I'm
Yeah,
not saying
I know what
that's
you're saying.
good.
Mhm,
Yeah.
I know what you
It's
mean.
just,
though.
it's not
I
the,
hear.
you guys
Yeah.
got this.
Sure. Yeah.
I'll get, oh yeah, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
Because I wasn't there at the time.
Visual in time, yeah. Well,
They
and I want to just change gears for a sec too, because we're talking about older records, and one of the things I love what you do in Ripple is the Beneath the Desert Floor
love that
stuff. I so talk a little bit about that, because I mean, some of the ones you put out recently. What's the one? There's Rollerball is a phenomenal record.
Oh yeah.
Love it. So yeah, just get into talking about how what how you came with that concept and what you wanted to accomplish with that.
I think, to be honest with you, a large part of that came about because of Fireball Ministry, and in particular a song that they did, which is called Sundown. And Sundown came out on the record that we re-released of theirs as part of the Desert Floor series. That came out at a strange period of time. They were on a label at the time which was called Liquor and Poker.
Yes, I remember that label. Yeah.
Yeah,
For Century Media. Yeah.
It was a Century Media imprint.
Yep.
It was a cool label.
It was cool.
It had a lot of really cool stuff on it.
Yep.
And that one song was on this compilation CD that I was digging out of the dollar bins for 25 cents. And I absolutely loved it. It just clicked and resonated. It was the total vibe. And I've never thought that I would be in any sort of a position to approach a band like Fireball Ministry. Again, it's perception to me as, Fireball Ministry. But I loved it. And then I started just getting some of these other bands. I think Awesome Machine was the first one that we put out.
That was awesome. That no pun intended. That was an awesome album. Yeah,
and
Swedish band, right? Yeah.
Yeah, Swedish band. And we have another one of theirs coming.
Oh,
and
cool.
I had previously already been contacting the guys in Glitter Wizard, because Glitter Wizard had made a bit of a name in San Francisco, but nowhere else.
Yeah.
And they had a killer sound.
Great sound, great show. They're great live.
Very good live band. I finally
excellent.
caught them last year.
Yeah.
So I started just realizing that there's a lot of people who are reissuing the 70s stuff, or like the proto metal stuff that I was talking about. But there was very few people who were touching this stuff, which was already now 20 years old. And a lot of it came out at a time when, again, it's coming out in the late 90s, early 2000s, before vinyl. So none of this stuff was ever on vinyl. It was always on a CD release at the time. And there were some good labels putting this stuff out. You had Man's Ruin, you had Meteor City, there's the Music Cartel, I think it was called. I think it was. They were putting out some great stuff. But that was it. They put it out and it ended. Because there was no social media at the time. There was no digital music streaming. There was no radio station play, that sort of stuff. It wasn't on vinyl. So you had all these CDs. And I think that there was a good underground tape trading sort of community that was around that type of music.
Always has been.
So I was just thinking, what? This stuff, I want this fucking shit on vinyl.
It was a good, strong era of music.
A good, strong era.
As soon as you told me, I came up with two, and I'm like, you got
right,
really,
and I got one of them now.
Huh?
I got one of them now.
Yeah, and you're working on the second.
I'm working on the second.
And you didn't even bring up one that you immediately told me you were going to do that you haven't brought up lately,
which is
from up in your area, even. Operator generator.
Operator generators. It's in the works. I kind of did the Sabians record and the oh my God, the Dearly Dead record, Dear Deceased
Right.
record. I did those at the same time, and those were both Bay Area, South Bay records, and they kind of had ties and connections to Operator Generator. So I've been talking to the Operator Generator guys. That's in the works.
That album is like it's really
the problem with the Beneath the Desert Floor series is well, first of all, Matt, so I wanted to put them out on vinyl where they never had been out before. And now they can benefit from a true PR campaign and from social media, which they never had the benefit of before. So I thought it'd be a way to kind of bring some attention to these bands again. And I think it's been helping. I mean, Fireball Ministry reformed, and played Planet Desert Rock last year.
this year, and did it really, really well.
It was this year, you're right.
It was great.
Rollerball is going to be doing some stuff again. Another classic band from the time.
Oh yeah.
John sent me 7 Zuma 7.
Oh yeah, I remember those guys.
Which took me a trillion years to get.
I tried as well. Yeah.
But I got it. I got the rights to it.
Oh, nice.
I just have to get that onto I have it on schedule. I just have to get that out. Abdullah we have coming up. Operator Generator we have coming up. The one that really blew me away with how successful it was the Datura release, which was Beneath the Desert Floor Chapter 8, Datura. That one is the best-selling one I've had of the whole series.
Wow.
And we have more Fireball Ministry coming up. I have more Rollerball coming up. And there will be more because it's such a fertile period of time to mine.
Yeah, it is.
And
I got another one for you, but I'll tell it to you off air.
Well, the second one you've given me is Gonzalez, which I am working on.
Oh, wow. Nice.
You know what I'm talking about, Matt, right?
I know. Oh, yeah.
Like, it's crazy that band didn't get bigger because
it's just a time period. Yeah.
Off
and that's it. And that's what we're trying to correct with Beneath the Desert Floor.
Yeah.
Is the time period was wrong.
Okay.
I finally have a connection to get to somebody who can talk about that band. It's tracking down some of the stuff is hard. All the labels are gone. Who controls the masters? I mean, 7 Zuma 7's controlled, the masters controlled by Suburban Records in the Netherlands.
Wow.
So, but they were up for it. I pay a licensing fee, but they're up for it. The problem I've been having is I got my regular release schedule, right? I love discovering new bands. Ripple has never stepped away from being the label to put out a new record from a band who nobody knows about yet. And maybe only has 300 followers. And it may not be, again, the best business model, but I don't think about that in the business model sense. I think about it in, this is a really fucking great record.
Well, like the one coming out right now, Sheev.
Oh, Sheev.
Sheev. Well, and Sheev, of course, came from you.
That's not why I'm bringing it up, though. But yeah.
Yeah, or
they have like 500 and something followers. They put out
a phenomenal record,
a very good debut album that a lot of people just didn't. There's a lot coming to a lot of people, and you got to really focus it. But man, the new album is great. A lot of good bass action. I think that's something that I think if people like listen musically, you can hear like bass lead, and there's things going on there. I think people are going to dig it. It's not your standard A to B to C kind of thing. Either.
There are a couple labels out there that you guys know, and they really won't touch a band unless they got X number of thousand followers or plays or whatever. And of course, think of like the Dunes record I put out, or the Ritual King record I put out, or Duskwood, that, or even Fire Down Below when I first put that record out. These are incredible bands. The Hanjaman record I just put out, it's sold out in like 3 weeks.
Wow.
These are great bands. How do they get the 3,000 followers if they don't have somebody who's willing to put some time and effort behind them, if they don't know how or have the wherewithal or the financial resources to do it themselves? And that's always been one of my favorite things to do. I told you I'm a dollar bin diver. Half my records I never heard of before I bought them. I like that discovery. So I still do that, and I'm still working with my more established bands that I've been working with for a long time. And now we have some of these bigger bands like Wino and The Obsessed and Hermano that we're working with, which is fantastic. And then on top of that, I put the Beneath the Desert Floor. And there's a lot of material there. So what happens, I could put out a Beneath the Desert Floor every single month. There's enough material. I just can't put out that many records.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, Ripple is essentially still a one-man band. I mean,
Mhm.
I have Sweet Beast who helps a lot. I have Sludge who helps a lot. Jad helps me with a little bit of logistics. 95% of the stuff is done by me.
Mhm.
And, you only have so much bandwidth. I still have a day job.
Exactly. Yeah, so say yeah. Mhm.
And I now want to start writing the next novel. So, the next stage of my life when I'm not doing medicine anymore is going to be 100% devoted to Ripple and to writing.
Oh, cool.
So wait till you see what I can come up with when I have that type of energy to devote to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice.
I got a question for you. You a great opportunity to ask you. You pride yourself on bringing a lot of bands that maybe not many people know. What couple bands do you feel really have the most upside to them? Meaning, the more people hear them, the more they're going to be like, holy shit, this is a good band. Why didn't I know about them? And I'll give you mine afterwards.
I'll give mine too. Yeah.
Okay. That's that. Now, I'm going to take that as a different question than you had insinuated we might talk about, which is which Ripple release kind of got missed that people really should have known about.
That's the second question, but all right.
Okay. So we'll stick with the first one first. Fire Down Below is an amazing band.
Oh, yeah.
They've not, the mix wasn't great for them at Planet Desert Rock. I thought their sound was a little bit worse than some of the other sounds.
They brought their own guy.
I thought it was interesting because they brought their own guy, and he's a great guy. I thought the vocals were buried in that one, so I don't know if you got the full idea, but I've seen them play live, 5 or 6 times.
That's a tricky part when these guys bring in their own sound guys. There's this tricky part because on one hand you go, well, who knows the music better than their own sound guy? But the other hand says,
he doesn't know that system and that room, right?
That room, and that sound guy doesn't even like this kind of music particularly, but yet I've never heard our music sound better than when Patrick Christie does it there, because he knows how to make that engine hum and knows how to get it sounding good. And the Germ guy actually did a pretty good job. He was involved with
Germ were amazing.
Yeah, I mean, religious experience, some would say a psychedelic experience. I mean, I told my good dudes whenever I'd bring it back every fucking year. I don't care. You know what I mean? But it's expensive for them to come, everything else. But yeah.
So to directly answer your question, besides Fire Down Below, I think the triad of British bands that I mentioned earlier, Ritual King, Dunes, and Duskwood, have just a phenomenal vibe to their music. And I think that anybody who likes classic Caius, nice shirt, classic desert vibes, and Ritual King delves a little bit more to the bluesier and even some of the jazzier stuff.
Psychedelic.
They're really, really good bands. In fact, Ritual King is so good that when Jeff Keller, who's the Obsessed manager, heard it, he immediately said, "Hey, do they need a manager?" That's how much he believed in them.
Yeah.
And he is the manager now.
I keep pestering them to come over to Planet Desert Rock. So at some point in time, Jeff's got to figure it all out so we can get him over. Because
so would you put that on the list of possible biggest upside?
No.
Of yours?
No. Oh, interesting.
So who are yours? I want to hear yours.
Well, the main one, it's Tidal Wave.
Sure.
I think they're somewhat younger at that. And the power behind that vocalist, and he can sing, but he can push at the same time, and those fat fucking riffs, and they know how to write really good songs. And they're 2 for 2 on albums they're last album was album of the year for me, so obviously I think they're great, and they're from Sweden.
That album was phenomenal, and it holds up amazing today.
Yeah, and it did their debut album, which isn't on Ripple, maybe someday. That's what got me into them. I knew about them then, and that's why I led them in your direction a while back. So I feel their upside is huge, because it can get the heavier side of people, the the stoner side of the people as well, and just rock and rollers.
And of course, I did put a Tidal Wave song onto the Deadly Vision soundtrack record.
And they did that as well.
Yeah.
I would say the second band, maybe a little bit known as Germ. I just think that, they're not prolific at social media. They're a little bit older and probably just don't get it, don't care as much. They got other things going on in life. They're a little enigmatic, quite frankly, as a band. But everything they put out is gold, and it will change from album to album. I mean, the album they did with you, which of course I helped to live with that one as well. They really got dark, right? But that was during a dark period. That was COVID.
That was COVID.
And that video is really, gets to you if you really watch it, the dramatic aspects of it. And I just don't think you can put a price on how good vocals are important to some of us. And that guy, and he proved it right there live, Todd. That was netherworldly to hear him sing.
In my opinion, they were the breakout buzz band of the show.
Yeah. Mm. Yeah. Yeah. I had wished that they had brought more. I'm going to continue to urge the bands that come over for Planet Desert Rock from, Europe and all that to think ahead and get their stuff over here via mail. So, there's aspects to reasons why, and because they're going to sell the shit out of stuff because they would have sold
boxes of records after that show.
Yeah. Wow. It's just,
and I don't bring records to shows because to me, I don't want to take that money away from the bands.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's their chance to sell merch. I don't want to be selling Ripple merch at these shows.
Well, yeah, exactly. So, maybe this is an announcement a little bit, we'll say, but Ripple was a host, one of our sponsors this year for Planet Desert Rock, and will be again next year. It'll again be a Friday night show, and we will have 5 Ripple bands, 5 bands that are involved with Ripple,
including one that's not announced yet.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, but there's actually 2 not announced yet. So I will tell you this, folks. One band is just confirmed today, and they're from Europe. Never played the States.
I don't even know this one, do I?
Maybe see you a text said, I'm pretty sure I might get this. But anyways, I'll let you know later. So far, we have in the Ripple set up, it's Bone Church, Kaiser, which did, of course, the Split, which is a, Ripple family band. And then Freedom Hawk,
nice.
Which to me,
well,
it's top 5 band out,
yeah.
Rock and roll.
I want to ask Todd a question, because we just interviewed TR. I said that I consider Freedom Hawk to be I know maybe not people agree with me, but I consider them to be within the stoner rocks, scene and whatever, a legacy band. And the reasons why I say it, they've got 6 records. They've been on 3 of the biggest, the labels for this music in this country. With Ripple, Small Stone and Meteor City. They've had their.
Were they on Meteor City?
Yeah. Yeah. They've had their they've been
their first one was
yeah.
Okay.
They've been in TV shows. Their music's have been on Hawaii 5-0 and an MTV show. So and they've played all the major festivals of this music. Including all the European festivals, the Desert Fest, Roadburn, and so forth. You look at their Spotify numbers too; those are damn good numbers. Those listens for a band in the scene. I think they are. TR kind of. He was humble, of course. He didn't want to say it. But what do you think? What's your take on that?
Absolutely.
Right?
I look at bands like a lot of the bands that came over from Small Stone, Freedom Hawk, Woe Fat, Gozu. I think a lot of those bands, because they were, they are legacy bands now. Those bands are 15, 20 years old now. And they've been doing it. And they are totally pro, and they bring it every time. They don't leave anybody unsatisfied with their performance. And to me, I think that Freedom Hawk keeps going from strengths to strengths in their music. They're each one of their records, and even same with Wolfat. I thought Wolfat's last record
yeah.
that the Singularity, I thought was their best record yet. And I think the Freedom Hawks' last record was one of their best records yet.
The best.
On that line, I think that I'm going to start a new series of releases, exclusive for you. You're hearing it here first, which is going to be a Ripple anthology series. Not a greatest hit, but I mean, yeah, Freedom Hawk has such a volume. And so we're going to do a Freedom Hawk anthology. We'll do a Wolfat anthology. We'll do a Mothership anthology.
That's great.
You know, any band that we have that's got enough of a catalog that you're not just mining 2 records to get, you know, some songs.
Yeah. Those 2 Freedom Hawk that were on Small Stone, and great job to Scott, who has just curated some of the best music we've ever had in the scene as well. Those 2 albums on Small Stone are massive gems. like they could just play songs from those 2 albums for a set and people would be like blown away. I mean, it's just, and you know, and it sounded like, you know, TR wants to work through and you know, wrestle that away and get that going in the right direction, which I think would be appropriate, because there's this, we need music like that in front of more ears than some of the stuff that many of our influencers, podcasts, bloggers put out. When you got bands like Freedom Hawk, or even another one of your bands, which stays way under the radar and is the Watchers, you know, those bands, just get them in front of people, get them in their ears. That symbolizes what this rock scene is. That just the highest quality music there can be.
So Matt, which Ripple bands do you think?
So my 2 is one you got coming out. So Appaloosa, I think, is phenomenal. I mean, that new song, the Tarantula, I mean, that's hands down one of my favorite songs of the year.
You guys see those guys plays live, man. They
I'm
are
sure.
So good.
The percussion are just amazing.
No, the percussion. You're exactly
right. I watched them play.
Yeah.
They played at the Ripple Fest France, which was a sold-out 2-night event in Nantes. And I loved Sylvain. He and I talk a lot, and I was so into the record and the sound that they had right now. I was expecting when they were on stage to be mesmerized, because he's a phenomenal looking guy. He's got everything as a frontman should have, and the bass player is this meaty power kind of guy. I couldn't take my eyes off the drummer.
Gosh, I know.
He would, and at the end of the show, I said, Sylvain, man, he's the secret weapon here. He, you know, some of the stuff, of course, and some of those songs might be a little dubbed, right? A little overdubbed, but on stage, obviously not. And just to watch that guy drum blew my mind.
So good.
It's so good. Yeah.
It's a big aspect of the recordings. I mean, you can feel, you know what I mean? It's deep.
I love Appaloosa.
Yeah. They're a band I should consider inviting them. At some point. I haven't had France yet. So
and I do love Riff Lord too. I think Riff Lord, you know, I love it. It's just that great blend of, you know, metal and stoner. You know, it's another band that last record blew me away.
That record to me kind of snuck a little under the radar. It's a great record and it sold well. I'm in no way am I diminishing it, but based upon the buzz that had built up over their first 2 records with STB, and considering how good this record was, and they hadn't done anything in such a long time, I expected this to be the record that just went pow. And it's like the people who loved Riff Lord loved it, but I didn't see that a lot of other people suddenly had their eyes opened up to Riff Lord.
Yeah, it's a phenomenal. They're a phenomenal band. I had them open a day for Planet Desert Rock 2, and Wyatt. If you know, for folks who haven't met Wyatt, who's the front man for Riff Lord, he's big. Like I'm big. I'm like 6'2.5", 215 pounds. This guy's like another inch or 2 taller than me and big, like he's working out in a farm or some shit. And he ended up getting up on the rafter. He was at the old bunkhouse. And he got on the rafter and he was like hanging there, and he ended up falling on some chick's face. Luckily, he knew her. Jesus. I'm like, what the? But he brings it, and his wife is like this pretty and demure keyboardist, you know, doing her little thing over on the side. And the drummer ended up joining ranks with whores. which will be
really?
the main acts at Ripple Fest.
Ripple Fest, yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
But I dig Rip Lord.
yeah.
I got to bring them back. That's for sure, because they're just pure power and energy.
Oh, yeah.
Pure
and
power.
On that last album, and they know how to do videos too. They make videos big. That's one thing I love about them. It reminds me, it's almost like when remember when Europe came out and they did Final Countdown, and you're like, who the fuck is this? And you're just like, color, everything's like so big and like blown up. And you're like, God, they got a lot of money to be doing this. Riff Lord does these majestically huge things and just brings it with good theater in their video as well. They know how to play the screen, we'll say. And, great band. Good pick, Matt. Good.
Yeah, and I want to definitely commend you with the signing that I think it's been all over the place today with Stone Nomads. I'm a big fan of that band. Those guys are great dudes, Jude and John, and I thought that was a great signing too. I know a little on the heavier stuff. I mean, that last record they put out was great too. They did an amazing cover of the Trouble track. It was, I mean, the Tempter. That was, I think that got on I think Liquid Metal and some of those stations on Sirius they got on too.
What did they do?
The Tempter of the Trouble song. Yeah. Great cover. Yeah.
John,
I'm not a big cover guy either, but that was a great cover.
Gotta have it.
Yeah.
I think a good cover in every single, I think it's a necessity for every band to have a very good cover involved with their live performance, because it particularly for smaller, it just clicks people back into place sometimes. You go, oh shit. It's a psychological thing with me, marketing thing. I'm kind of that kind of guy.
I agree with you. I think that's
but, Stone Nomads, John has been to the last Planet Desert Rock and has been super cool about supporting, coming all the way up from Texas by himself the first time. And this last time, him and Jude came over. So big shout out and congrats to Stone Nomads for sure, as they continue the Texas domination.
Yeah.
I mean, 2 other Texas bands got signed or announced within days also to other, good sized labels. I mean, Jad signed Temptress.
That's right.
Another out of Dallas area as well. And there was even another one that seemingly forgetting.
As we've been talking about, I mean, to me and John agree, that's the capital right now of the
Texas is the capital of our
country. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we have Mothership, Low Fat. Stone Nomads,
Foster Mother.
There's more. Keep going.
Thunder Horse.
Thunder Horse. Demons, My Friends.
Oh yeah.
Texas.
Yeah.
It's announced that signing a little while ago. It's the city is sick. I've worked with Doomstress, on their last record they put out.
And you had that one band, I don't know if they're doing much anymore. They're over on the coast, kind of heavy. They played the first Ripple Fest. No, I'm not remembering. They had 2 albums out. Texas band, heavier.
Display Jesus.
Yeah.
Eric Calvert, the hurricane that is Eric Calvert.
Yeah.
But Matt, you brought up something interesting with the Stone Nomad signing. And it's something I don't consciously do, but I consciously do, is that I want Ripple to never be pigeonholed.
I noticed that.
No one should do that. Only an ignorant person who likes stereotyping, which is a disease in so many people's minds right now.
Earlier in the label history, people say, "Oh, Ripple's a stoner label." It's like, well, are we? I don't know. I mean, I like stoner. I like doom. I really like heavy psych. I like prog. I like rock. I like metal. So I've always just thought of Ripple as a heavy rock label. I don't categorize it, and I don't like any of those genre titles, anyways, because I think they're
heavy
very
rock
limited.
is the umbrella, and you are and Billy, even Ryan Garney. We all kind of
heavy rock
this umbrella. That doesn't.
It's not hard rock, because hard rock is still more like
classic rock.
I said maybe we should commandeer and just take over hard rock and just start marketing as hard rock, because at least some people will be like, because but anyways,
I like heavy rock too. Yeah,
I do too.
And I've always thought from inception, I thought we were a heavy rock label.
Totally.
So when people start thinking they know what's going to come, that's when I really like throwing a
Throw a
Stone
left-
Nomads at them,
throw a
or a
curveball there.
Poseidon
Yeah.
at them, or
10,000 years.
Yeah, 10,000 years, or
10,000
even
years,
Hanjamon.
right.
It's like these are
Mhm.
bands. It's like Hanjamon sounds absolutely nothing like Appaloosa, which sounds nothing like Ritual King, which sounds
sounds
nothing like
Top
Pellegrin.
Gun.
Right. And so I love doing that. But yet at the same time, they all do come together. If you put all those bands on at one show, there would be a cohesion, both in the vibe of the band members with the audience and the audience to the band members, but in the music itself.
Yeah. No, I knew you guys had a really good discussion when you were on with Dan on the Heavy Desert podcast, and you were talking about the whole nomenclature discussion about, and I think it's always going to be, unfortunately, an issue, right? Because the bands hate the Stoner label, and in fact, I don't think anybody really likes that label, Stoner and Doom. Like Todd, you were saying, when young kids are wanting to get into this, you want to introduce this stuff to younger kids, and they hear Stoner, Doom, and sludge. It's not really inviting. It's not like you said, hip hop or rock and roll, or doesn't have that cachet that those, the names of the genres. But unfortunately, it's been around so long, these names. I don't know if it's possible to get rid of it, which is why I agree heavy rock should be the just universal title for everything.
If I tell somebody who doesn't know me and doesn't know Ripple, and they say, what type of label is it? I'll usually will say the words, it's a retro 70s heavy rock, heavy psychedelic label.
Too much.
I know. But somebody who doesn't understand what heavy rock or heavy psychedelic is, at least they can get the retro 70s. And that doesn't scare them.
True. Yeah, you're right. That's the key. It scares a lot of people. When they hear a certain term or word, they just get it completely.
And if you mentioned the word metal, they're immediately thinking, black death metal, whatever.
Exactly.
You have metal stuff, but I think that we really could shift most of it into more of the heavier side of heavy rock, which is, again, a visual of an umbrella of sort. And there's nothing wrong with metal, but, when it comes to the masses and this untapped population of people, definitely rock has more of an upside in general, and particularly
as a marketing term.
Yeah. You see this, of course, and
thank you.
Wino's an unbelievable guy. We hope to have him on the show maybe very, very soon. Intent.
Love Wino. I've loved working with him. And you're partly responsible for that one too, with our breakfast.
Oh, that was a fun one. You, me, and Bucky and Wino hanging out at the Sahara. Yes, and Wino spent the whole weekend with me. That was fun. Getting to know each other on the fly. He just announced that they added Bob Pantella on drums.
That's right.
From Monster Magnet and Atomic Bitchwax.
Yeah, great drummer.
He'll be heading over to Europe for their upcoming tour with Cyclona, former Ripple.
Nice.
Super cool matchup there as well. So Bob Pantella with the Obsessed, and that is a strong lineup. And what's going on with Wino? Anything brewing?
New solo record is in the can. It's in my hands. The art is done. It's scheduled for release October 24th.
All right.
It's a solo record, but it's not a pure acoustic record like Forever Gone was.
Okay.
He has guests on this one. Jason Taylor comes on. He plays electric guitar. There's quite a few guests on this one. So it's not a obsessed record. It's a wino record, but it's a little bit more what you might have expected if Forever Gone was a little too much whiskey solo blues for you. I think that this next one's pretty amazing. Of course, Wino's amazing.
That's great. And we might be the ones premiering such a thing, right, man? Maybe. Not too many people have talked about that, Todd. So we appreciate you giving us a little of the goods there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're too far ahead to have announced it yet, so I haven't really.
That's all right.
I put a little teaser.
Only a few people listen to this.
Well, and Wino's got another project out too now. You must know about that. With his wife Charlie.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Maybe I did not.
And The name of it is going to take me just 1 second to get for you guys. Oh, I know. Where is your email? I can't remember the name of the pod, but she's singing. Wino's playing guitar. She plays bass as well. And it's good. It's more kind of a haunting sort of doom. It's a little witchy.
Okay.
And it's good. And I'm not going to tell you the name of the project, which is because I don't want to.
That's all right. That's good. Speaking,
I just can't find it.
Yeah, that's it, right. Speaking of the Obsessed, I truly think that the Ozzy tribute thing, that the two bands they should have had that showed the direct spawning from Black Sabbath would have been the Obsessed and Pentagram. The Obsessed, because it's not like Wino is, unfamiliar in the world as much, and the Obsessed is one of the best at coming from that direction. And then Pentagram, obviously, when you got Bobby is now a famous meme and they're blowing up all over the world, it would have been cool to have had that, but it's easier just
instead we got Lamb of God and all these other ones.
Lamb of God, like we're talking about good vocals, and yet they're going to throw in that kind of stuff. And then Lizzie Hale from Hellstorm oversang the living crap out of one of those Ozzy songs. I mean, I have nothing against Lizzie Hale, but I don't like people that oversing, and she just went too much. But anyways, Pentagram and Obsessed, that would have been cool. What else do you have coming up in the next few months?
Got a lot coming up. Before I get there, I just want to touch back on the other question you had asked me. The two records that I think got way overlooked.
Okay.
That never happened. Now, I will venture to say that one of these I'm going to say completely sold out. So how overlooked is a relative term, but I saw nobody ever talk about this record. And it's a San Francisco band, Matt, called Lowcaster. And we put out their album. Susie from Broom actually sang on one of the songs called Pilan.
Okay.
The album was called Flames Arrive. It came out, pre-COVID.
Okay.
And I'd seen the guys play once at a club in San Francisco. It's a strange club. It's not the Brick and Mortar, but it's one of those off clubs.
Okay.
And they were good. I bought their record from them at the time, and I just kind of forgot all about them. And then they got down the road and they put out this album, Flames Arise, and they gave it to me. And it's just from start to finish a listening experience. It's heavy doom. It's atmospheric. It's a gorgeous record. Susie's role is gorgeous. I had them play a Ripple Fest in San Francisco, and Susie took the stage with them, which was phenomenal. I saw them play live like 3 times since I released that record, and they were mesmerizing and so good. And then they broke up. I think that Lowcaster is back together. It's half of the band. I think the other 2 guys are in another band. Not really in my awareness at the moment, but check out Lowcaster's Flames Arise. It was phenomenal record.
And I like that album,
Okay.
no doubt. My band would be that the album that went too much under radar was Wolf Knot.
That one went under the radar as well.
And it's very good, heavy rock. It fits in that Caius kind of. Caius Kaiser.
A little more bluesy, though, right? A little more bluesy.
It was a little more basic, hard, heavy rock of sorts with hooks and everything else, and good, catchy stuff.
Yeah,
and great guys.
Scandinavian stoner, man, it's all good.
And their previous album is fan. That's what got me into them, and that's why, again, I slid them over to you.
You did,
and I think more people that the right kind of getting it out there. Those guys would do really well. They're down to where are they? Norway, right?
They're Norway.
Yeah,
Norway.
And of course,
one other band that, speaking of Sweden, or at least Scandinavia, that went way under the radar, and part of it was because of us. Most of it was because of him. But it's a band called Space Probe Taurus. And we put out their album called Mondo Satan way
Totally
early.
dig that album.
It's a phenomenal record. It's biker acid garage rock, and
Reminds me of Monster Magnet song.
cold. It's
in a
pure
good way.
fuzz.
Yeah.
It's so good, and I was a big fan of their previous record. I got to know Ola because I reviewed that record. They put out a single as part of a 4-way Scandinavian split, which was good. And then he got this record, and he just sent it to me to listen to, but they weren't going to release it because the band had already broken up. And it was one of those records that's out on my computer for months and months and months and months. And I with all this music I had to listen to, I kept putting that on. And I finally just wrote Ola. I said, "Listen, man, let me put this out." He goes, "We're broken up. I don't even care about it anymore." I go, "I know you don't, but I do. It's really good."
It is.
And we put it out as just a limited 100 CD run, so it never had the chance to go much. I'd still love to have that on vinyl sometime because it's so good. It's just that they didn't have a following, and I could take a bath on some of these projects.
Yeah.
But
I bought
Space
that in
Probe
the
Shorts,
car a number of times, and it sounds
it rocks.
It's driving. I mean, folks, if you like the heavier up tempo Monster Magnet, that is the jam. Again, the name of the band is
Space Probe Taurus.
Space Probe Taurus. All right.
And the record was Mondo Satan.
Matt, if you ask Todd nice enough, he'll even send you a CD if he's got any left.
I will not. There are none. That sold. I don't even know if I have one.
I got one of the last ones, I guess. Jeez.
You might. I only printed 100 of them because I didn't know if it was going to sell. I would love to read. It had great cover art too, just dirty, nasty cover.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. I checked that out. Yeah, Space Probe Taurus. So cool.
So you want to know what else is coming up?
What else you got on the docket as we?
Well, let's see what we have coming up. Tomorrow is the release of Sheaf.
Tomorrow, today in Europe, it's today.
Tomorrow in Europe, it's today. Today, it's tomorrow.
In Australia,
Heavy Katana is coming out at the end of the month. Our Japanese samurai doom metal guys.
Yeah,
love having them on the label. And Thunder Horse did a tour of Japan with them.
That's awesome.
With the first Tokyo Doom Fest, and I think that there's a scene there. And with Heavy, we're going to start tapping into that and hopefully get more of our bands over there. Hopefully get the record label owner over there so he could check it all out because I want to go to Japan.
Yeah,
I want to
see your assistant, which
I think my head A&R guy.
Yeah,
she can tell me which one of these bands is good.
And someday you and me are going to do what we talked about, and we're going to do a Ripple Fest in Australia.
Oh wow!
It's in Melbourne. Melbourne's the city for it.
I know. I told you that.
Yeah.
You kept saying we want. I need this other city.
And there's so many good bands down there.
It's
yeah.
I mean, obviously we did the split together of Planet of the Apes and Dune Eater, which I'm going to hit at the Dune Eater guys and go, dude, you have to put something else out. Like everything Dune Eater's done is fire.
And Arrowhead's down there, although they aren't necessarily active all the time.
Unbelievably good band.
And their guitarist, Raphael, he did a release. It just came out. I can't know the name of the band is something God.
Robot God?
Robot God.
Oh, Robot God.
Phenomenal.
Yeah. I didn't know
Phenomenal record.
He's an Arrowhead?
He was the second guitarist on the last album.
Wow.
Yeah.
What an album that was. I love the first two, but
and I have some dear friends down there. I don't know if you heard the Sacred Shrines or the Far Outs, which is more 60s garagey sort of stuff. They're from Australia as well. I'd love to get Phil down there.
What about happened, Todd? Just quickly, the Ripple Fest here in San Francisco. I remember I went to I think it was 3 of them, right? I went to 2 of them, I think, out of 3. Or was it 2 of them? Are those just going to be not happening anymore?
Oh, no, they were always just sporadic. It was never a regular thing. I'm not a tour booker. I'm not a show booker. Gotcha. I don't even know the names of people who book the shows at the places where I book shows.
Okay.
I've always relied upon Ripple family to help out, like Mark or Pete.
Okay.
I'm looking right now at the first Ripple Fest ever poster, which was Moss Generator Zed and Black Wolf. That was at the Golden Bowl in Oakland.
Right? Yeah.
So I would do Ripple Fests when the mood hit me.
Okay.
There was supposed to have been a 10-year Ripple anniversary party, which was going to be 2 days, like 11 bands. And that was we were flying out Mothership. We were going to fly out Wino. We were going to do the whole thing.
wow.
And then COVID, kiboshed that.
Okay. Mhm.
But the 15-year anniversary party this year will be a
Awesome.
Ripple Fest of types.
Yeah.
August will be a good month for you, John. A band who I've worked with before. I mean, the very, very first ever Second Coming of Heavy split, which was the first split LP I ever did of the long sold out Second Coming of Heavy 10-chapter series, was Geezer and Baracho.
Nice.
So Baracho's been a part of the Ripple family forever. We did the riffography with them, which was like their greatest hits.
Riffology or whatever it's called.
Riffography, I think is what it's
Okay.
called.
Great
I never ever put out a Baracho album though.
Right.
It was always just a timing thing. What happens sometimes, I've told you, I'm booked out until July of 2026. Bands come to me, they don't say, hey, I want to work with you. We're going to go into the studio. Great. Okay, I'll get you onto the schedule. It's going to take you 8 months, whatever. Anyways, they come to me when it's recorded and mastered. They go, here's our
They
album.
don't want to sit on it for a year plus. And that's
and I don't blame them. And I think I think they're crazy if they do, but some bands do.
they do.
Sheev did.
Yes.
Sheev sat on this record for at least 10
like
months.
over a year plus,
Wow.
over a couple years even, because they sent me, I remember the original, probably SoundCloud, mix or whatever, and I was like, all right, cool. You know?
They sat on for a long time because they wanted to put out with Ripple, which is, I'm honored. I do everything I can to make it worth their while that they waited that long. But give me a little warning. Let me work it into the schedule. I can only do 2 releases a month. Now think about it. A small independent label putting out 24 albums in a year is crazy. It's crazy. And I've been doing 2 releases a month for the last 10 years, except for the months when I'm doing 3 and a few months where I've done 4.
Yeah.
And so
you're doing fine, Todd. I know you stress out about it, but you're doing a good job. Put out as much as you want. You've built a great Ripple community. I think it can expand even more. And again, your PR/AR/marketing guy, John here, wants to help it even more. I believe in you and your music, and have for God.
And I believe in
6,
you
7
as
years now.
I believe in you as evidenced by how many of these bands you said, well, I sent that one here. Right? I sent that one here.
3 splits. I mean, how cool is that? I'm honored. I got a great split idea, but you're like, John, you already got 3. And I'm like, I got 1 more, I promise.
No, I'm happy with that. That's one of the funnest things I think I've done in ages. I'm having a hard time bringing this one to fruition, but I've had this idea literally 10 years ago. And that is that everybody wants to know what it's like to run a record label, right? And unfortunately, the real day-to-day life of running a record label is pretty boring. It's me sitting at a computer, right? Yeah. And I have a computer here that I'm working on. I got a computer here, and I'm running 2 computers at the same time. And usually I'm playing a record right over here. So that's like my life. So if you want to see what a day in the life is like, just put a cam in my office. You'll be bored to tears.
And look at emails.
But the fun thing is listening to the music and deciding what you're going to do.
Yeah.
So I had this idea that if people want to see what it's like, let's do be a record label CEO for a day competition. And you give me 2 bands you would like to see on a split that are reasonable. A lot of people sent unreasonable stuff. I'm sorry. Yeah. High on Fire is not going to do a split with Ripple. I'm sorry. A High on Fire Judas Priest split, I don't think is happening. So be reasonable. And like I said, a lot of them weren't, but a lot of them are really, really good suggestions. And I just put that out there. I said, this is what we're going to do. You give me the suggestions. We got to make sure the bands are up for it. It's got nothing to do with what you want. Right? The bands have to have music or recording or whatever. If they're up for it, we can make something happen. And then for the second that's a go, that person is going to be my wing person every step of the way till that record's released. Meaning we're going to choose the colors together and show them how we manufacture it together, put it up on Beta. Everything that I do, I'll have that person be executive producer of this release for. I just thought it'd be fun. It's a way to get the fans involved.
Absolutely.
It's a small label. What's the fun of a small scene if you aren't engaging?
Yeah, I mean,
totally.
I had the good fortune of doing that with you a bunch of times, and the emails and the follow-ups and
it's a lot of work.
Trying to motivate people to hurry up and get the artist to finish. Remember that? Which ended up being one of the coolest pieces of art ever.
It's a cool piece
on
of
that
art.
one split. The Kaiser
That
Captain.
was Kaiser Captain
Air
Caravan.
Band. Oh my
Yeah.
god.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, and remember, the band came up with the idea,
Yeah.
and then I had to tell the idea to the artist, who had to visualize and create, which he did. It took him like 7 or 8 months.
Mango Beard.
Mango Beard, good artist.
Yeah.
So
Well,
a lot of people sent good suggestions. A lot of these I can't do. A lot of bands, regrettably, the bands on Magnetic Eye, for example, Cyclona was brought up a lot. High Desert Queen, who are both Ripple family, were brought up a lot. Magnetic Eye will not let them do anything with another label, which I think is stupid. I mean, that's old school.
It's protected.
But Magnetic Eye isn't a small independent, though. Magnetic Eye is a subsidiary of a large corporation. So they're doing things corporate ways, you know. Because I think a Cyclona High Desert Queen would be a phenomenal split.
Sure.
Oh, yeah, sure.
But they can't. You know, their contract prevents them from doing that.
Yeah.
A few other bands who I contacted who were European had some hesitations contract wise as well. But some stuff I put out a lot of feelers to the bands these people had suggested, and slowly, some of that stuff will start coming in. So eventually, somebody will be a Ripple record label CEO for a day. I don't know who it is. I don't know what the release is going to be, and it may not even be the one they exactly suggested, but it might be they wanted this band, and we'll do it with another band instead and make it happen. But that's in the works.
I'm gonna
Awesome.
pitch you on
Very
later.
cool.
Pitch me one, Matt. You pitch me one too.
Yeah, I will. Absolutely.
All right, Matty boy.
Oh yeah.
He's got
Remember,
good
I
taste,
ran a rental label too myself.
Matt has good
so-
taste. He loves this stuff just as much as the rest of us, for sure.
So the second half of August, besides Baracho, new record, which is phenomenal, is Super Naughty.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
September for you, Matt, we have Appaloosa.
Beautiful.
Woo.
And that's paired up with Warco, who's an Italian proto-doom band that's been around for a while.
I didn't know they were Ripple. Wow.
I think I announced it within the last month. They put out like 2 records. I've been part of their process for each one of these records. They're good. I always liked their sound. They were a band I kind of wanted to see them grow a little, which they have done with their sound. They've kept their sound, but they've expanded what they do. So they're on the bill, as well as a Beneath the Desert Floor with a band called Blind Dog, another Swedish band.
Swedish band. Yeah, those guys are great. I know
Originally
exactly.
came out on Meteor City.
Yes.
So we have a Blind Dog coming out. And then October is Stonebirds from France.
Heavy.
Too heavy for you, John, but phenomenally heavy and progressive. When they played live at the Ripple Fest in France, they were kind of mind altering. And I love those guys. And they're
very heavy.
Sweet guys. And then we have the new Bone Church record coming out.
Nice.
Which will be my third record with Bone Church. And we'll get that out in time before Planet Desert Rock. And then also that month is the Wino solo record.
Oh, sweet. Wow.
So that takes us up until November, which is at this point still a surprise.
Okay.
Good stuff.
The one thing I have coming that I do want to drop for you guys, although I know you know this already, John, is that the guys in Eric Wagner's band for his solo record contacted me, and they had one song that Eric had recorded for the solo record that wasn't on the album, but it's the last single that Eric ever did. And they gave that to me. And then the band is doing a Trouble cover for the backside. So we will be doing a special commemorative 7-inch Eric Wagner's last song, side A, and then the Trouble cover on side B. And that single is going to be called Eulogy.
Sweet. That's great. Awesome. Wow. Lots of good stuff, man. Lots of good stuff.
And look how long we've been talking.
I know.
And that's what happens.
You're going to have to edit this down to like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
That's what happens. You got Todd and John involved, man.
Just cut out every third word I said. Whatever.
It might be 2 parts on this one, man. You never know.
I know. You never know, right?
Cut it.
Some sort of clips. Yeah.
You could do it. Yeah,
I
could do it's true. We could do a 1 hour repeat. Yeah,
for sure. And
a Droids Attack shirt, man.
That's right. And before even we do stop with that, we got to talk about Deadly Vision real quick here. I mean, I this is going to be, like I said, I'm going on vacation in a couple of weeks, and so I read books like in chunks. I can't read like a chapter here or there. This is my book for vacation. You're winning awards left and right. I see it, all over the internet. I mean, people are raving about it. Talk about Deadly Vision. I know and I think I read something that this has been a long time in the making. Your first novel here, correct?
It's been a long time. The first draft I wrote 30 years ago.
Wow. Okay.
And I completed the draft and got an agent for it, which is, a huge step. And it went to the publishers in New York. The problem is that the book is about a guy who devises a revolutionary system to change the way surgery is done. And it's about doing heart surgery entirely within virtual reality. And the science is real and plausible. The problem is when you're writing a book about virtual reality and artificial intelligence in 1994,
Just going to say, yeah,
they kept saying, well, this is science fiction. And I know it's not science fiction. I'm a doctor. This is a medical thriller. And they weren't on board with me. They go, it's part medical thriller, part political thriller, part cyber thriller, part, science fiction. We don't know what to do with this book. And so I took it back and I rewrote it, cutting out a lot of stuff to really bring it more into the medical center. And which expanded the medical center politics and the political aspect of the book. And there's a huge exploration on medical ethics, which is really the crux of what I wanted to do here, is examine every book I write will be a medical thriller based upon a scientific crucible that you twist the crucible and you see what the worst possible outcome is as you're examining the ethics that are involved in that particular science anyways. So the books will hopefully work on many different layers. And then it went back to the publishers again, and they liked it, but they wanted me to change the villain, which was right. The villain was horrible because he was the same villain from before. I just kind of brought him over. So I deconstructed the whole book and essentially started fresh.
Okay.
And then I started Ripple. And it sat on my computer untouched for 15 years.
Wow.
I just didn't have the bandwidth for it. Plus the practice. John knows I expanded the office, opened a research institute, opened up a new satellite, brought in 2 new partners. It was kind of busy.
Wow.
And it was just like November of 24. I said, you know what? Artificial intelligence and virtual reality are commonplace nowadays.
Oh, yeah.
I better get the people understand what I'm talking about, but more importantly, I better get the book out before it becomes passé.
Sure.
Now, fortunately, the science I envisioned 30 years ago has still not come to fruition, even though it's been edging closer. So the book still has a near future concept to it, but it's not. I'm not seeing this as a near future book. Everything I wrote about could exist right now. It's just, you just got to make it happen. So I finally got it done, and then I, started the rounds again with agents and publishers, and I got a publisher, and I peed my pants like for a week. I was walking around peeing myself because after 30 years I got a publisher, and then it got out. Yeah, and the reception's been very, very overwhelmingly positive.
It's
Absolutely.
got rave reviews. Is it at bookstores at all? I know that's
it's on Amazon and Barnes and Noble, and any bookstore can pick it up.
cool.
I don't, my publisher's not the world's biggest publisher. He's kind of like a Ripple Music of book publishers. So it's not like he's got a sales force pushing it. It's not a major like a major 3, that's going to dominate the marketplace, but it's out there, and it's been hanging out pretty much in the top 1 to 200 on Amazon, which is really good for a small book.
I mean, thousands of books.
I know you have the artwork up there, but Mark Aceves, bass player of Zed, who I've been talking about throughout this whole show, he did this for me.
Oh, fantastic.
Very cool. Mark does great art.
Mark does. And then, of course, like I told you, I had to figure out a way. Okay, I got this record label. I got this book. How do you bring them together? And the idea was to create a reading soundtrack. It's not a soundtrack for the movie. There isn't a movie. It's a soundtrack that kind of from start to finish tells the story of the book. If you use your imagination and you kind of go with it. And a lot of the material on that soundtrack is brand new. Bands like Baracho and Wino, they just sat down and said, I'm going to write something for you. Gary, Ars, and Pia wrote something for us right away.
Nice.
Burnt Sherpa, who's Greg Green from Mr. Plow, came up with something right away. We have exclusive track. I have Marcus Sevis has his song on there. He just put out his solo record. So we have all this brand new music, and then the rest of the songs are songs that were like single only releases by bands like Dr. Smoke and Tidal Wave and Kabbalah, stuff that had never been part of something bigger. And just the way the flow worked, it tells the story of this guy who's trying to do something amazing. He's hitting all the levels of resistance, both within the medical center and within national politics, because his research becomes part of a big national presidential election, and it gets sabotaged, and the sabotage does certain things that I don't want to ruin for you, and there's murder involved, and in the end, it's like, how's this guy going to fucking get himself out of this? And is he going to succeed, and will this project ever work, and et cetera, et cetera. I love stories of people who have their lives systematically taken apart.
I think
I love those stories, and then they have the gumption to
put it
fight
back
back.
together. Yeah, that's awesome.
This has the makings of someone grabbing this and doing a screenplay for this.
Sounds like it.
So I'm looking forward to reading my first book in who knows how long. As I need to put in that email for you, Todd. And man,
do you need a copy, John?
Yeah. I'll send you an email with the.
I'll get you the CD. Do you want CD, Matt? No,
Sure.
Please, yeah. And I know you posted something online about possibly doing vinyl for it, because I would love one of those if you do it. I know it'd be small, but
I am. It's a total selfish thing. Of course, I want it on
Of
vinyl.
course,
It's my book.
yeah.
But the music is phenomenal. I mean, the Tidal Wave song is phenomenal. It's never been on an album. The Dr. Smoke song just kicks ass.
And that's another under the radar band.
Luna Soul's got an unreleased song on there, and it's an acoustic blues song. It's phenomenal.
Very, very cool.
Yeah,
I'm gonna try and do vinyl. I'm gonna do either a run of 100, or it'll be like a press on demand. There's a few people that'll lathe cut press on demand.
Okay,
it'll be one or the other.
Yeah, sign me up for one of those. Absolutely, would love that.
Love that.
Fantastic. Well, yeah, we're coming up on 2 hours. So, I mean, anything else that you wanted to throw out there, Todd, for the world to know here on the Heavy Galaxy Show?
Well, first of all, again, thanks for bringing up the book. It is a slightly different topic, but the Wave Riders, the music community, has been very supportive of this. I don't know if they see the tie-in, if they're just trying to support me as a human, if they know this is all part of what Ripple does. I don't know, but the music community, the Wave Riders, have been really, really supportive, and I appreciate that very much. And I will be writing more books. My next one is concepted and it's outlined, and I am so analog that I'm on TikTok and I'm seeing these people and they talk about, well, I wrote my book and they're going through this program, help me this, and they have like all these programs and the whole plot and everything's all done. And I'm just sitting here going, well, my plot is right here. And each of my scenes is on a 3x5 card. It's just the way I am. I'm just tangible that way.
Now, where do you find the time to do all this stuff? I mean, running a label, a medical practice, authoring. I mean,
and a loving wife.
I have a fantastic wife. I have one of the most supportive wives in the world, and she definitely nothing would happen without her. And well, you have so many hours in a day. You have a lot of things you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
So you do two things. You don't waste any time, and you add more hours to the day. So I get up at 4:00 in the morning every single day.
Okay.
Doesn't matter how late I was up. Doesn't matter. John, you know this.
Yeah.
If you look at the posts on Facebook for Ripple, almost everyone is starting at 4:45 or 5:00 in the morning.
Okay.
So I get up and I find a way to add 2 more hours to my day before I go to work.
Okay.
And then at work, there's no such thing as lunch, and there's no such thing as time in between patients.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing something. You just don't waste time. And then when I come home, I'll work out, maybe do a half hour of work, and then I'm done. I turn it off, and the rest of the time is family time.
Okay. Wow. Well, you got a hell of a system, man, to do all this. It's really quite impressive. Very impressive.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
No doubt. Absolutely.
Inspirational, Todd.
Yes, totally.
It's just, if I wasn't doing this, I'd be in a gang. I'd be on the mean streets of Danville, California.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome, man.
Brigade.
Yeah. Well, Dr. Todd Severin, man, thank you so much for joining us. This is great.
Thanks for having me.
Great conversation. Everything. We'll definitely have you back on to talk to you more about Ripple and everything else you got going on. Whenever you want. So always welcome.
Really appreciate it, guys.
Yeah.
It's about who's got the passion, man, Who's into music for real?
The apple didn't fall far from the tree.
It's Trev's daddy, he's big shit, it's Bill Church.
My dad was always in bands. People know my dad from Montrose, Sammy Hagar, Van Morrison.
We used to be such a tight unit, and we would always do things together as a unit.
The infighting just got worse and worse and worse.
Didn't actually seem like we were living up to the hype, I guess you could say, in like a business sense.
But everybody in this band gets along really, really well. We're four brothers. We really are.
The rock and roll cliche. Yeah, we were a rock and roll cliche, shit went down and stuff was done.
Like there's no bands here, man.
Wasteland. Like it's where local bands go to die.
They said they did not want me in the band.
Eric was the driver and the glue behind that band.
It was a struggle in the beginning with the business, but now it's basically paying off for all my dreams.
For me, it's like me up against all the Van Halen kids.
He's quest driven. His dad got cut. It's like Luke Skywalker.
We know our clock is done, our time is up, but we just do it because we like to do it.
SoCal Heavy Jam, a bunch of friends throwing down on a great stage with an amazing sound system.
If I stopped and I got out of the band, I think I'd really still enjoy putting it on.
One of the premier scenes for heavy rock in America.
There is a group of knuckleheads that like this stuff, and I think we're having a freaking blast doing it.
In ways, it's more fun now, I think, because we don't do any of the stupid shit you did back then,
Why do I do it? Because, the easiest answer, because I love doing it.